Babies, babies, and more babies. Sometimes it seems that we have seasons where the babies are arriving faster than we can sew handmade presents. Today we have a solution to that dilemma. Use your serger. What fun it is to use fabrics that are cuddly and soft, just like those precious arrivals. We have beautiful and quick projects for baby, head to toe, as well as an embellishment idea that might find its way onto a project for your baby's room. Let's not waste any more time, since that little one will be here before we know it. Welcome to my sewing room. These are two of the sweetest little day gowns I have ever seen. Both of them made out of the soft, soft butter knit with a little ribbing. This little gown has 3 little buttons, and this little gown has a sweet little bow. You talk about adorable for a baby, and they're so easy because they're made on a serger. Let's just see how easy they are to make. First of all, take your ribbing, cut your collar piece, fold it in half. Now wait, you got to sew it first. I'm sorry. Sew it and then fold it. You have a nice little circle. All right, go ahead and pin it, dividing it into 4 different sections. Now on the neckline, which you've already joined the shoulder seams, go ahead and divide the neckline into 4 equal parts also. Then slip your collar piece in, your little binding piece in, give it a little stretch and serge it. And voila, your neckline of your baby day gown is completely finished. I'm so happy to have as my guest today my very dear friend and business colleague, Kathy McMakin. Kathy has written several books on heirloom sewing by Serger, and Kathy is the designer of this wonderful project. Kathy, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Martha. Today we're mainly going to talk about how to put in a neck binding in a knit day gown, and it is so very easy. We usually use a different fabric. You have to, because you need some spandex or some lycra in that fabric so that it has recoverability, so that it'll stretch out and then go back in place. So what we do is we use what we call a ribbing for the neck bindings, and they're very easy to make. What you do is you cut a strip of binding, and I want to just show you how you find out which is the right and wrong side of this binding piece. So if I stretch it like this, do you see how it is rolling under? So it always rolls to the right, so you'll know if it's rolling, this is going to be my right side, so roll to the right. Once you have that, then what you're going to do is you're going to fold the piece in half and you're going to press it so that you have a nice crease, because things are much easier to press when they are out flat than once they are in a circle. So if you'll go ahead and press it so you've got it folded in half, that's going to be easier for you. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take your binding and you're going to fold it so that the short ends meet and those little creases that are in each side are meeting as well. And usually I use the sewing machine to sew this, and I will sew this at a 1/4 inch seam. Now the reason I use the sewing machine to sew this, and we'll look at this one that's already done, is because if you used your serger to do this, that would put both of these edges together. It would serge these together. And so if you sew it with your sewing machine, you have the opportunity to fold these out flat. So that makes it not quite so bulky at the neck. So once you've got that sewn, then you're going to put that back together again so that you form this circle. Now what you're going to do is you're going to mark your neckband so that you have 4 into quarters. So you're going to have the back edge is going to be where your seam was, and then you come right across from that, and that's going to be your front edge. And then your 1/4 points are going to hit where the 1/4 points are on your neck opening. But now let's look to see where our neck opening our neck opening right here. This is the center back, this is the center front, but do you see how the quarter points between the front and the back do not fall at the shoulder seam? So you'll need to make sure that you fold this in with your pieces together. Front, center back, and then you're going to fold those together to find your quarter points, which will not be at your shoulder seams. Then once you get that done, then you just put those together so that you match those pieces, and you'll notice that you have to stretch your binding slightly to get your binding to fit your neck opening. Now what we're going to do is I've already placed just a sample underneath the serger so that you can see how easy it is to do this. You just raise your foot, you slide your piece all the way under your serger foot, and then you are going to stretch your neck binding to meet the neck opening of your garment. And we're just going to mash the gas pedal, and we're just going to serge right around from pin to pin, and we just remove the pins as we go, and we would continue on around sewing, making sure that you can see all three layers, because you have a layer of your garment, and then you have 2 layers of your binding. Now we would continue on around this, but what everybody wants to know is how to end and begin the seam. So what we're going to do is I've already have one over here that has been sewn together. And you can see my shoulder seams were sewn in black. My binding seam was sewn in blue so that you could see. And do you see how we started over here just beyond the shoulder seam? We never really start in the back, because sometimes this where you begin and end ends up kind of messy. And so we want to make sure that we don't have that at the center back, so that when we fold our gown, you can always see that back seam. And so it makes it really neat to do it somewhere else besides right there at the back. So all you do is you start here, you sew around, you end here, and can you see how this right here is just a little darker, and that's because we've gone back over that about 1/4 of an inch. And then we're just going to take these ends of thread, and we're going to sew these and we're going to just tie these together and make a square knot, and then we can cut those off. You sew your ribbing to your sleeves in the same manner. You just stretch your binding so that it will encompass all of the bottom of your sleeve, and when you end up serging it together, it's going to look like that. And then when you get ready to put your whole gown together, as you can see in this sample, we have the neck in, we have the sleeve bindings in place, and now we just need to sew our side seams in. Our trick here is to use a wash away basting tape, which is a sticky tape that's paper backed. You can pull just a little piece off of the tape, and you can stick it where your seam is going to be. And so this is the right side. We want to sew them right sides together. I would just stick the little tape across that seam, because the hardest thing with your serger is matching seams. And then what we do is we just pull that off, and when we get ready to sew these two together, we're going to match the seams first using the tape, and then when we get ready to sew it, it'll be all matched up. So do you see how we would just stick this together just like this, and I would be able to match my seams and not have to use a pin there, so that when I open it up, my seams will be beautifully matched and ready to sew.
Oh, Kathy, thank you so much. That looks so much fun and so easy.
Well, you're very welcome.
And now Kathy has some really interesting sewing inspirations to share with you. Kathy, this serger quilt has been one of our all-time favorites. Now, tell our audience how long it takes you to make one of these.
If I have all the pieces cut out, it normally takes no more than an hour by any stretch of the word.
And the class, when you teach this kind of a class?
We usually do that it takes about 4 hours to make the quilt in a class, but we usually stretch that out to about 5, because we teach the techniques at the same time.
Oh my, and they love those serger bags. This precious little diaper cover and diaper shirt. adorable, done totally on the serger.
Correct. And
Now, how
again,
long does this take?
Again, less than an hour.
All right, then you have your baby gift. Oh, I love this little diaper bag. Talk to me about
Isn't that
time.
sweet?
Oh, it's so sweet. This is a Sunday school diaper bag.
It is. It's just big enough for a diaper and a bottle and a pacifier and maybe some other little treats in there. But
the Cheerio box.
Right. That also has batting in it, and so that gives it some stability. But it takes that too takes less than an hour.
Less than an hour. Okay. We should call this the less than an hour show.
That's right.
And this adorable lingerie bag. And you know what? I know that I love to keep my lingerie in bags so it won't get all messed up. And I love to use these for travel.
Exactly.
So everything isn't all messed up in your suitcase. Now, how long does this one take?
Well, that one really probably takes about 30 minutes. So less than an hour again.
You can give this for all of your presents. Oh, this is so much fun. The lingerie, the tap pants and the camisole, the pajamas. Adorable. How long does this take?
In a class, we teach that in about 6 hours, but you know, if you have all your pieces cut out, here again, it'll probably take you maybe a little longer than an hour with all your pressing, but not much more.
So much fun. So serger, much fun. And then, of course, we have the little bit longer pajama top with cute little buttons. And the long pajama pants. And you know what? I'm not going to bring those pajama pants, but I am going to get this precious little camisole, which we also have pajama pants.
That's
but
right.
now the camisoles, Kathy, this one, I like to wear this kind of thing under my jackets.
Exactly.
So this is not just a pajama top. This is a camisole too.
Right.
And I think, now about how long does this take to make?
That too is going to take a little bit longer than an hour, but not much. So maybe an hour and 30 minutes or so.
Well, thank you for bringing all these wonderful, quick, and easy projects. And speaking of which, Kathy has a so quick, so easy project for you next. Kathy, I love this little day gown you made earlier, and I want our viewers to especially see this adorable lettuce edge, finished serger lettuce edge on the bottom, and the little matching bonnet. And as you look at this little bonnet, you might not be able to see the real trick here. I'm going to turn it sideways so you can see the two little ruffles, and that also is the lettuce edge. And of course, it has the little casing that ties in the back. All right, Kathy, how do we make this adorable bonnet?
Well, this bonnet is extremely easy to make. What you do is you take a piece of knit, and you want the stretchiest part of the knit to be on each end, and you're going to need a piece that is about 16 inches. So the 16-inch side would be the least stretchy side, and then you need about 14 inches long, and that is going to be the side that you're going to stretch to do this lettuce edge. So if you'll notice, what we've done here is we've done a lettuce edge on each end of the 14-inch side, and we've done one lettuce edge right side up and one lettuce edge wrong side up, so that you end up, when you finish your piece, you have one that the rolled hem or the lettuce edge, the right side is looking at you, and this one, the wrong side is looking at you. So we're going to show you how to do a lettuce edge. A lettuce edge is easy to do. It is set up with a rolled hem, and we usually use a little shorter stitch length. And all you do is you just stick it in there, mash your gas pedal. You can use your differential feed to stretch it out as it goes. And if you'll notice, it comes out of the back of your serger fairly straight, but if you'll just take your finger and just stretch this, do you see how it ends up waffling very nicely on the edge of that? So it's very easy to do. Now, once you get your lettuce edge on both ends, and we've already talked about that, then you're just going to fold this in half so that the two little edges are about a ½ inch from each other. And once you do that, you put right sides together, and then all you have to do is, this is your bonnet. Our two little edges are about a ½ inch apart, and then you just put your serger on a normal 3-thread overlock, and you're going to serge each side, and then we take that and we're just going to turn it on itself, right sides together. And then do you see how you end up with a piece that has 3 finished edges, and then you've got your ruffles on the front that we will then eventually fold back like this, and we'll sew across the casing in the back to create this precious bonnet. Now I'll show you what this one looks like all finished, and you can see how easy it is. So do you see how these were our 2 lettuce edges about a 1/2 inch apart? We just folded them back to create that precious little ruffle along the front edge of our bonnet. We sewed just a straight stitch on the machine, and when using knits, you'll want to increase your stitch length to about a 3.5 stitch length so that it won't stretch your knit as you sew. And then we just took a bodkin that was more like a tapestry needle, and we just slid it right through the seam in between the 2 layers right here on the end. And you just slide that casing right through. Once your ribbon is in, you go back and stitch back and forth right here in the middle so you won't accidentally pull it out. And then to create the little bonnet, you just pull this to create the casing, and voila! There is your little bonnet. And we put little decoration in the very middle to hold back your ruffle, and then we also added the ribbons on each end so that it covered up the ends of the ribbon where you attach the tie.
And Kathy, how long did that take, really?
This takes about 10 minutes maybe, so not very long.
That knit feels just so butter soft.
It
and
is
with the
like
silk
butter.
ribbon to tie it on, that is just the sweetest
Yes,
little
the silk satin ribbon is
bonnet for a
the silk
baby.
satin ribbon is a perfect combination with that Martha Pullen knit. It really is.
Oh, thank you so much, Kathy.
You are very welcome.
And now I have a wonderful little idea on quilt construction for you. This very beautiful and unusual quilt is called Baby's Garden. As you can see, it has a circular theme, and there are wonderful machine embroideries, little yo-yos, kind of unusual yo-yos, which is what I'm going to show you in just a minute. There are freestanding leaves, more of these little unusual yo-yos, kind of big scalloped yo-yos, more of the freestanding leaves, and very, very interesting flowers made with sort of a braid. Now, what I'm going to share with you today is these yo-yos right here. They're sort of like regular yo-yos that we used to make a long time ago, but they're really not. Let me just show you the magic on those particular yo-yos. Now, on a yo-yo, you just trace off your circle, and then you cut out your pieces. I've got a number of pieces cut out here, so I have my pieces cut out. Then on this particular yo-yo, I am going to, by the way, gather it up by hand, but I am not turning a little edge under. Now normally on yo-yos, you'll turn an edge under so you'll have a finished edge. I want a raw edge. So I'm going to continue to stitch around, get a few stitches, and just right around the very edge. Except as you noticed, I did not turn under him. I have a raw edge, on this yo-yo. Okay, after I go all the way around, which I have done here, you know what you do in a yo-yo. I'm going to pull it up. Those are so much fun to do. Do your yo-yo and then pull it up. And then straighten it out a little bit. Now, I have this yo-yo already done. Pulled up and straightened out and tied off. When it is attached to this particular quilt, do you see that little raw edge that looks like the center of a flower? It is a raw edge, and it just kind of ravels a little bit, but that is going to be on the outside. You would think, well, a yo-yo, you might turn over sometime if it has a raw edge. No, this is the design element here, and you pull up those little raw edges, and it really does look like a little flower with the center of the flower. And that is my special little yo-yo trick for you today. And next, I have some absolutely incredible machine embroidery ideas to share with you. I'm so pleased to have as my guest Denise Applegate-Schober. Denise is with Cactus Punch. Welcome to the show, Denise.
Thanks, Martha. We're going to have a party today.
Let's have a party. Oh, this is the most wonderful tablecloth. Now let's talk a little bit about it. We have birthdays and ice creams, and now what does this
Every
one
day
say?
is a celebration. It says, when life gives you lemon, make lemonade.
Oh, let's go on around and look. I think everybody needs one of these tablecloths. Love, believe, life, live. And then we have over here 4th of July. Oh, hang on a minute. Let me do the happy birthday. You know, you could use this every day of the week.
Oh, yes. Well, I have two stepdaughters and grandchildren, and so I made one for each of the stepdaughters for a celebrate day and thought it was a lot of fun.
You know what? I believe we ought to use this every day. Denise, show us what you did here.
Well, we're going to talk about thread today, Martha. And with embroidery or your everyday sewing, thread is really important. And it's based on your fabric. And fabric has changed over the years, so your thread has changed to go with that fabric. The tablecloths are cotton, but it's embroidery. And I would use a polyester thread if I was going to use this tablecloth every day and wash it all the time, because the thread holds up in color. So let's go over to the board and talk about a few of these threads that we have. We have a cotton thread, and the cotton thread is a lighter weight. This is like a 50 weight thread, more for heirloom embroidery and things like that. This is like a tinsel on your Christmas tree. It's a flat thread, and you'd use like a top stitching needle, or you would use a larger eyed needle for this thread and stand it up when you're going to embroider or sew with it. Then we have some rayons and a couple more cotton. So the weight and your type of fabric are going to change your thread. Now, bobbin thread, these are pre-wound bobbins, and these are a lighter weight thread also. And notice I put them in this blue bobbin holder, or purple bobbin holder, and I have a blue bobbin holder. What I tend to do is I take my threads and put them in a different color bobbin holder so that I know what weight it might be, or even write on that with a marker.
Absolutely, you could write on there.
And this particular embroidery collection has what's called like a velvet texture through this part of the butterfly. And this thread is a rayon thread, and you're going to do layers and layers and layers of the thread and then cut it. And the rayon works best to plume with this collection. Then we have the drawn thread. Now, this isn't a typical drawn thread. It's actually a rayon because it's done with the embroidery machine here. And then this is done as a stitch on the machine. So we just wanted the two of them to look alike. And that's okay to use a rayon for that. But most people would use a cotton thread. Same thing here. It's a rayon on a wool. Hard to find wool thread.
No, don't have any wool thread, I don't think, do we?
Rayon gives a nice sheen on this wool challis.
Now, stabilizing the thread, does it make any difference what you use on the top or the bottom of the threads, or is that just everything is okay in the way of stabilizer?
You know, the stabilizer is really important. It's important that if you have a texturized fabric, you use a topper or top stabilizer. Water soluble is really nice unless it's a gift, and then you might want to use something that irons away.
I see, but it doesn't really matter about the stabilizer and the thread.
Not necessarily.
Okay, well, Denise, thank you so much. And I do love this Celebrate tablecloth.
I'll have to make you one, Martha.
Oh, I would love that. Thank you very much. And now I'd like to share a piece from my vintage collection with you. This very unusual little dress is a piece from the private collection of Sue Houseman. I love the details. First of all, the dress opens on one side, has buttons that go all the way down. Now let's start at the top and let you see. Tucks, insertion, ruffle, and this beautiful little ruffle also goes down the front panel. Tucks, insertion, ruffle, all the way down to the bottom of the skirt. This is one of the most unusual details I have ever seen. There is a pocket, two pockets actually on this little dress. And I don't know that I've ever seen a pocket like this on a French dress. It has tucks, insertion, and a ruffle, and there's a little pocket on each side, and then it's placed right on top of the tucks that go down to this very pretty hem. The back is also unusual on this exquisite dress. Let me just show you what it has. It has almost a little top coat on it. And let me hold it up to let you see that the little skirt, the little top coat is just to attach to the little skirt underneath. And the little top coat, or I guess it would be top back, has a little ruffle with the Swiss insertion, a little Swiss insertion and a little ruffle with the French lace, and more tucks at the bottom. What an unusual piece. Thank you for joining me in my sewing room today. Will you come back next time?